You know, a game in 2025 has a very successful launch weekend when it comes out and touts how many units it has sold, as opposed to how many players it has engaged. This is no Doom the Dark Ages. This is no Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is Stellar Blade. They've moved 3 million copies. Okay, we've seen this type of tactic being taken by Claire Obscure Expedition 33, moving 3.3 million units in 33 days. I'm sure that that's 100% on the up and up, but how they've performed, I really like what they do. Now, I've been talking about Stellar Blade for, geez, God, what is this, over a year at this point in time? And yeah, things that I like about this game, there's things that I like about the development team, then there's things that I'm ardently against. I think that the folks over at Shift Up talk out of both sides of their mouth, whatever is convenient for the narrative that they're wishing to push. They're more than willing to claim. So I don't think that they're the friend or they're the ally that they want you to believe that they are. And then when it comes to the game itself, I mean, like, I'm not going to crap on anybody who likes the game. Like, if you like it, that's totally fine, man. I'm not here to ruin your feelings or any crap like that. No. It's just whenever I see gameplay, which is so funny, whenever this game is out there and it's being shared around, it's never anything more. About the only thing that you see in regards to gameplay is Eve sliding up and down ladders, and it's like, oh great, cool. So what's like the combat all about? Well, hey, take a look at this skin suit that Eve can wear. Oh, okay, great. This is a type of game, right? You strip the particle effects, and no, we're not talking about a different type of stripping, which is just as intrinsic to the success of this game. But you just take away all the fancy graphical flourishes, and this would really just kind of slot into like the PS2 and the PS3 era. I mean, it's really just a generic action game with some Souls-like mechanics behind it. I mean, like, I've been wildly unimpressed with everything that I've seen. And as somebody who doesn't need to go, oh, see, I'm not a misogynist because I like the game with the girl in it. Oh, you just hate the game. Journos just hate the game because they hate beautiful women. No, I'm not here to pedestalize a bitch. No. Don't get it twisted, okay? Would I rather see, and I hate engaging in these types of binary conversations because it's so fucking dumb, okay? The same people who are saying, oh, yeah, we need more games like this. What, generic slop? Okay, cool. You'll be the same type of people that say, you know, the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake was good because it wasn't trying to push any agendas, or that it was ostensibly, you know, a shot-for-shot remake. Yeah, but they changed certain things, and what they did end up changing is going to have a knock-on effect that A, you're going to take offense to, and B, if you're going to be doing these shot-for-shot remakes, why is it that you're making these little changes? Why is it that is going to go ahead and be a bee in your bonnet as opposed to anything else? Why are you making these little changes? No, I don't like what the Western industry is doing. I don't like all of these concessions and this capitulation to this minority of freaks and games journalists that are out there that don't play the games, don't like the games, and whenever you try to appease them, it's never enough. I'm also not calling for the censorship of games. It's more or less just, hey, if you like the game, that's fantastic. You want more of that game, go ahead and support it, which is obviously what has happened right there. And to just, you know, break this down, okay, over 3 million copies sold, which is, yeah, probably still going up right now because the game is still running hot. So 2 million copies on the PS5 and 1 million copies in the first 3 days on the PC. So yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward. I would imagine everybody's more or less got their fill on it so far, because one thing that I do like about this is it's a single player game. My favorite games, I can pretty much say a vast majority of what would be my top 10, top 25, top 50 games, yeah, they would be single player games. And I like that. And I like to see them succeed, especially when you have other industry pundits come out and say, no, you need to have all of these other superfluous elements to them. It needs to have a multiplayer experience. It needs to have an avenue for sustained monetization. No. A game can succeed on its own, by its own, with a singular experience. And if you want to do something else, if you want to monetize it further, well, you can just make a new game, which is very obviously what is going to happen, because this game has been a wild success, okay? Because we've seen at the tail end of last year, Shift Up gave bonuses to their staff. Meanwhile, you know, you have Microsoft and everybody else doing massive layoffs or simply closing out studios, Stellar Blade's handed out, I think it was like $2,700 and a PS5 Pro, which it's so nice that they gave a little paperweight to that check before you could get down to the bank to cash it. But hey, good on them. They had a manageable budget. They had passionate people working on the project. They did the best they could, and it has been, received exceptionally well by the people that are playing it. Good for them. Like I said, I'm super happy for the people that enjoy the game, the people that like the game, and certain aspects of this game that it's succeeding. I can take the good from the bad. And across the board, and we looked at the Steam reviews very briefly upon release, and it was somewhere like 96%. We'll go back and we'll take a look before everything's all said and done. Spoiler, it's still in the 90s over on Steam, but even from the gaming press, like, they're getting pretty favorable reviews. Strange that like IGN or GameSpot or outside of Eurogamer, like, these are other tertiary outlets, not discounting them, just saying that's what they are. But yeah, 10s and 9.5s, all amassing to an 86 Metacritic, which is quite high. It's very high. I would imagine it's going to rank somewhere in the top 10 probably throughout the end of the year, and probably remains one of the highest rated games of the year. Further, the game runs extremely well, and especially in comparison with, what was that, Mind's Eye that just recently came out, bro. It's nowhere near that level of suboptimal performance, and frankly, haven't heard anything in regards to stuttering, frame rate issues, or anything at all. Seems like a well-optimized port, which used to be a problem a long time ago for PC gaming. It got a little bit better for a short period of time, and now we've gone back to PC ports being taken for granted, being fixed by modders and outside sources. They'll just eat it up on Steam, that's totally fine, but that just clearly doesn't appear to be the case. But yeah, just looking at this list, right? Okay. Generally speaking, the game is, and then yeah, taking into account the Metacritic rating, the game's getting on average about an 8 out of 10, which game reviews always tend to skew a little bit higher. Normally, like a mid game will get a 7, what's the meme, the IGN 7 and everything from there. It's basically, like, gaming gets graded on a 4-point scale, okay? A 7 is essentially below a 5, and 8 is, good, passable. Your mid-range, normally, if you're playing on a regular 10-point scale. Your 9 is going to be your higher end of things, and your 10 is going to be your big AAA studio release after the check clears. So yeah, if you're grading on a curve, it's a better than average game. That's at least the way that it's shaking up to be. Unless, of course, you're PC Gamer, okay, which gave the game a 68, which you're using a 100-point scale, which I don't think your reviews are going to be that granular. And it's interesting because they point out some valid things here, but then they end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And because in today's day and age, regardless of what side you find yourself on the political aisle, it's not so much what you say, it's how you say it, even in textual form. Because yeah, you could have some valid criticisms, like the level design is pretty ass, and you're not talking like Eve ass, but just terrible in general. I don't like the soundtrack at all, but of course that's subjective. Does it fit for the gameplay? I don't know, man. The yodeling chick over the top of it, especially when you're doing some post-apocalyptic wasteland traversing, don't really think that it necessarily fits. But yeah, people like that type of stuff, so whatever, man. You go for it. Otherwise, I've seen some, or rather, you don't see music, you hear it, but rather listening to some of the more synthwave metal type stuff for some of the boss battles. It's like, it's not too bad, okay? It's definitely discount Doom, but it serves its purpose. It's decent in places. But yes, PC Gamer slams Stellar Blade with a 68, calls the level design atrocious, and says players are only playing for the sake of jiggling skin-tight suits. I mean, what is getting shared? What are the pictures that make the rounds in regards to this game? Is it ever anything in regards to gameplay? Nope. So they're right. It's just, it might have been taken more seriously if you could have just stayed out of the whole goonery conversation. Yeah, PC Gamer just came out with a review of Stellar Blade and dings it for the story, which, can anybody tell me anything about any of the other characters that aren't Eve? Okay, because I've heard some of that dialogue, okay? I've seen some of those interactions, and holy shit, is that fucking weak. Like, that is really not good, okay? Even if you like some of the hack and slash gameplay, even if you like sliding up and down ladders, The fucking story, and especially at the end, like, it gets absolutely pants on head fucking retarded. It's not a good story, and a lot of those characters are as flimsy as a lot of the fabric for a bunch of those suits. An atrocious level design. You go, yeah, you got corridors, and then what is it, like 2/3, 75% through the story, then you start to get some pseudo open world stuff, which is just adding at its finest. They're not wrong, and of course, yes, blames the gamers who, yeah, I can only assume people are willingly plowing through for the sake of trying to plow through a digital creation, because the world is just totally plumb full of blue-pilled simps. Like, for all the people saying that there's nothing original coming out and that everything's a remake or requel, a sequel or a reboot, I mean, that's another reason that I can, you know, applaud Stellar Blade's success, is because, hey, generally speaking, it's an original IP seeing success. I like it for that. But I don't hear that conversation. I just simply hear, oh, see, now they can't call us chuds or bigots because we like the game with the girl that's in it, and the only reason that they hate it is because they would much rather be fondling the bear in Baldur's Gate 3, which is, yeah, of course, it's like, this is where PC Gamer also is going to lose you. So even if you gave an objective review about this by saying that, yeah, level design is lacking, the character work is atrocious, combat mechanics are basic at best, you're still going to be known as the outlet that simply can't get out of the political discourse. The Gooner Game of the Year Stellar Blades mods are 41% smut. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked by that, mostly because I would have thought that it would have been closer to like 80%, because let's keep it a buck, this is the only reason that this game is successful, because like I said, this would just slot in perfectly with like your Blood Rain spin-off, Heavenly Sword at the launch of PS3. I bet you forgot that one existed. Yeah, because it was just generic crap. Once again, it had a female protagonist, sure. We never got a Heavenly Sword 2. But yeah, the guy who wrote this article, okay, is also the same one saying that, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 bear sex scene was such an upward turn in momentum for the game. And its animator called his mom, and she's like, yeah, that's weird. So you're applauding bestiality, but you don't like it because other people have other kinks. It's like, okay, that's kind of a weird take. Like, I think both of you should be used for target practice for the impending conflict in Tehran. Oh great, yeah, John McCain, if he could put his arms over his head. And hell is finally getting his fucking wish. Swear to God, man, go to get a hot war going in the Middle East, I'm gonna be some fucking pissed. But I digress. Back to the mods and the skins, okay? And another reason that, yeah, okay, shift up. And the game's director rejects the idea of regulating adult mods. Once the game is purchased, it belongs to the user, which I do like and I do appreciate. Hey, you bought our game, we're thankful for that. And even just going back to the announcement of 3 million units sold, okay, to all the players, and I love that they did that, around the world who have shown love for Stellar Blade, we extend our deepest gratitude and respect. Yeah, I do like that. I really like that. And once you have it, go ahead, go wild, okay? You just want to go ahead and strip her down, give her pre-diabetic proportions with like a triple J chest and a BBL that would make certain 304s on South Beach blush. You go ahead and do it. Do whatever you want to your heart's content, okay? Instead of working on yourself so that you could get something like that if you're so inclined. But chicks that look like that in real life, they are way too much of a hassle, but that's another topic for another time, okay? You just want to buy the game. You just want to engage in these transactional relationships where you just get the thing that you want and then she doesn't complain about it. They're also the same guys that are trying to rationalize ethical prostitution because you're sad and you don't fucking get it. But somebody else who is sad and doesn't really get it in general is Paul Tassi over at Forbes, who is still, you know, gnashing his teeth together. But honestly, he's not wrong with this assessment, okay? And a lot of people, you know, Grum's included here, in his sweeping for Stellar Blade, just simply can't read the text and understand that, yeah, like, the man's is not wrong, okay? Paul Tassi says, the Stellar Blade curve is interesting. As you can see, just how Asia-focused it is. Prime gaming time in the West is pretty much its daily low point. Yes, tweet screenshot prevention. Yeah, I'm not saying this is bad. Which, yeah, you take a look, okay, and I've got the Steam charts pulled up right here, and yeah, right now, and I'm recording this, you know, Monday evening, and okay, cool, so yeah, 58,000 players off of, you know, the weekend's high of 192,000 players, which, yeah, I thought it would creep over 200,000 over the weekend. 250 was something that definitely looked to be possible, but not getting over 200,000, okay, simply hitting its peak on day of release and not getting back to it, that's interesting. haven't seen that phenomenon happen before. But yeah, when I was talking about it in the aftermath, okay, yeah, just to see, okay, not but 24 hours later, it dropped below 40,000 players, okay, after hitting the peak of 83, 183, and then 150,000 people fall off. It's like, wow, what the hell happened out there? Well, we've seen this phenomenon before, and obviously, like, just about 200,000 people concurrently playing it, okay, getting 3 million units sold. I mean, the numbers are right there. Objectively speaking, this game is a success. Don't take that away from it. It's just, its audience is very clearly centered in Asia. Okay, we know that PC gaming in Asia is the biggest medium. The console market has all but collapsed. So yeah, it totally makes sense that a South Korean game is doing exceedingly well. Very likely in South Korea, if we ever get the regional numbers released, we'll be able to suss that out. And then when you factor in the weekends, then yeah, you could take a look. It's like, okay, players on the weekend, okay, people that have the ability to play over the weekend, they can go ahead and bolster it throughout the day until the Asians pop in, and then yeah, they take over and blast the game to the highest of heights. It happened last year with Black Myth Wukong when it had over 2.2 million concurrent players, and yeah, because that was a Chinese-made game adapting a Chinese story. You could also see their ebbs and flows throughout the day. During peak gaming hours in China, that shit was, in the 7-digit club, and then the times it would hit non-peak hours, yeah, it was down to the 5 digits, and okay, that's where the players are. Heard what was it? Yoko Taro, the guy behind Nier Automata, did a video on this a couple weeks back. But yeah, somebody was talking about how Nier Automata was the game that really brought something back to the fold. Okay, really revitalized the Japanese market. I think something like that. It was something to that effect. Okay, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but yes, he was talking about, okay, if you just go ahead, if you make a game for the Japanese audience, people are going to go ahead and gravitate towards it. In Japan, that's who you're focusing on, and if it's a good game, it's going to travel worldwide. And that is clearly what happened for Nier Automata back in the cut, and that's what happened for Black Myth Wukong last year, and that is what has happened here with Stellar Blade. Its core audience is of South Korean, of Asian descent. Okay, hey man, that's the way that it is. But clearly, it has a fan base around the world. And so, the game has succeeded. And now, the blueprint is right there. If you want other devs, if other devs are looking for success, all you need to do is take a look and see what Stellar Blade did. And I really hope that they learn the right lessons from this, instead of, which is what has very much happened over the past few decades, if we're going to keep it a buck, learning the wrong lessons from this. Oh, just stick attractive girl in and they'll fix it. No. Use that as a launching pad and tell your own story. Put in your own mechanics. Hell, be like Expedition 33. Okay, you want to make a turn-based RPG a la Final Fantasy of yore? Go for it. And then just throw in some compelling characters, some attractive characters, as well as, yes, that engaging narrative, those super fun mechanics. Go ahead and do that, and your game can succeed. I hope that's I hope that is what's happening here, and not just simply, oh, look at that game, look at the booby game, look at Booby Souls and how well it trends on social media. People really love Eve, huh? I just really hope that they continue to love Eve when Stellar Blade 2 comes around and it gets all of that influence of Shift Up and all of their developers working hand in glove so closely last summer with the folks over at Naughty Dog. Don't forget that shit when the next game comes around. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.